Hello and welcome to Sports News. Super Eagles chief coach Stephen Keshi has ruled out midfielder Babatunde Michael this weekend from the 2015 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier against Sudan. Babatunde picked up a knock on his knee while playing for his Ukrainian club, as team doctors confirmed he needs 5 days to recover. Babatunde's withdrawal means there are 23 players left in camp as the African champions seek a qualification ticket for the tournament billed for Morocco next year. Meanwhile, Sudan has moved this weekend's tie earlier, fixed at the Al Mariq Stadium, to the 30,000 capacity stadium in Khartoum, which is an artificial turf. The president of the Italian Football Federation, Carlo Tavicchio, has been banned for 6 months by the European football governing body, UEFA, for making racist remarks. The ban means he cannot hold any UEFA position and will be barred from the next UEFA Congress in March 2015. The 71-year-old caused controversy during his election campaign in July by referring to eaten bananas when discussing foreign players. However, he will continue as head of the FIGC after the federation's internal prosecutor dropped his inquiry over the comment last month. South American giants Chile have unveiled the official emblem of the visual identity of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup to be held from the 17th of October to the 8th of November next year. President Michel Bachelet reiterated his government's commitment in providing the needed infrastructure in accordance with FIFA standards for the Under-17 World Cup and also for the 2015 Copa America. The event will be an opportunity to showcase youth football and will leave a legacy of improved sporting infrastructure and the transfer of knowledge to the host cities, putting them in a strong position to host other global events in the future. Away from football to tennis now, organizers of the Australian Open have confirmed they will increase the total prize money by 10% to 36 million Australian dollars. The Australian dollar has retreated by over 6% against the US dollar over the past month, but the 2015 prize pool is still competitive against last year's 33 million Australian dollars, which was worth about 29 million US dollars when Stan Wawrinka and Li Na clinched the men's and women's singles titles. Organizers also launched the newly renovated Margaret Court Arena, which will provide a third covered show court. Organizers have also snapped up former world number 1 and 2009 champion Rafael Nadal as an ambassador. Finally, the World Anti-Doping Agency Director General David Harmon claims that the organized crime in the sport controls at least 25% of world sport in one way or the other. He insists that match fixing, bribery, and doping tackled by the body are all interwoven. Mr. Harmon reveals 25% of sport worldwide has criminal engagement. And that's it on Sports News. The News at 10 continues shortly.
Now, one of the greatest defining features of the historic kingdom of Benin is bronze casting. It dates back to the 14th century and was practiced under the hereditary leadership of the family of Igun Eronwo. Our next report looks at the evolution of this famous art and its challenges in modern times.
Bronze casters were commissioned by the Oba to serve the royal stove. As a duty to the monarch, they were to recreate for documentation important events in the palace through their arts. Bronze works were also used as a medium to send messages to a one-time Benin king, Oba Vorame, when he was on exile in Calabar, through symbols and images which only the Oba could decipher.
We serve as a means of documentation to the Oba. Because as at that time there was no camera, no recording, materials or electronics media. So when an event is happening or taking place in the palace, the Oba will invite an Iguman to document the event by way of producing those events in 2- or 3-dimensional objects. That's why you have some as plaque. You have some as, bust, Oba bust and things like that. And it was also used as a souvenir. It was also used as a monumental pieces like the mortar.
Today, the art is still practiced in the Edo State capital. Shops which display bronze and non-bronze artistic products such as wood carvings and paintings adorn the well-paved streets of Igun, famous for bronze making. The good old bronze casting process is still on, with little or nothing changing over the years. The clay used is still baked in locally built ovens, while casters still make use of firewood and charcoal for firing the bronze.
This is the first process here. Like the sand. The second process is being waxed. That's what you say. They will not cover with the third process. You use a banding wire. That's the banding wire you see. You need to tie it. You need not to break in the fire. After tying like this, you now take it to the fire and melt out the wax inside. Then inside will be like ant hole. Before you now take it down to the oven. Heat.
While this is in process, the bronze metal is heated in very high temperature to liquid form. The molten bronze is then poured in to replace the absent wax through a funnel space created in molding process. After cooling, the clay is dislodged and the precious object emerges. Bronze casting is not without its challenges. Mr. Osalbo Ogbevon tells us some of them.
Before it was a very profitable business, but now, due to the high demand of the material and customers, they are no more coming like before anymore. I believe especially America problem, this international problem affect us a lot. And Nigeria, every day, bombing here, bombing there. We lost most of our customers. They are afraid to come to Nigeria to buy.
The transition made from being a means of recording history, preserving culture, to being a source of income and livelihood has made bronze casting in Igun streets in the ancient city of Benin a tourist attraction and a heritage site.
On the foreign scene now, doctors at the hospital treating a nurse infected with the Ebola virus have begun testing 3 people she may have had contact with. The nurse had treated 2 Spanish missionaries who died of the disease after being repatriated. The 40-year-old was one of about 30 staff at the Carlos III Hospital in Madrid who had been treating priests Manuel Garcia and Miguel Payares.
Some 30 other health workers and those who came in contact with her are now being monitored for symptoms. Workers at the Madrid hospital, where a Spanish nurse is being treated after becoming the first person to contract Ebola outside of Africa, expressed concern today over measures taken in Spain to control the potential spread of the deadly disease. Spanish officials are trying to find out exactly how the female nurse, who was not named but identified as married with no children, contracted the viral infection, which causes fever and bleeding.
We are working with Madrid's regional health system. The experts that are here with me now are here in order to find formulas to treat the patient in the best possible way and to avoid any type of risk to the population and for the members of the team who are treating her. That is our main objective today.
The nurse was one of a specialist team who treated elderly priest Manuel Garcia Viejo at the Madrid hospital Carlos III when he was repatriated from Sierra Leone with Ebola on September 21. He died 4 days later. Garcia Viejo was kept in isolation during his treatment last month, and officials say he followed a strict protocol designed to protect health workers and patients at the hospital. Health authorities said she had also helped treat Miguel Pajares, who had been working in Liberia when he came down with the disease. He was airlifted back to Spain on August the 7th and died 5 days later. She was initially treated for fever symptoms and is now in a stable condition.
Well, staying with the foreign scene, it's indeed unfortunate, but despite the US-led coalition and Kurdish forces having engaged the Islamic State militants in a battle, fighting continues to rage on the Syrian-Turkish border, with the militants moving into a southern district. Here's Adeshawa Josh with more.
Well, the US-led coalition has carried out more airstrikes to try to aid the Syrian Kurd defenders. However, Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan warned that airstrikes are not enough and that Kobane is about to fall. It is believed that at least 400 people have died in the 3 weeks of fighting for Kobane, and 160,000 Syrians have fled. And in Asia, after days of protest against China vetting candidates for the 2017 elections, students of Hong Kong have agreed to come to the negotiating table. Representatives of Hong Kong pro-democracy protesters have agreed to hold formal talks with the government. Also, the Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta is appearing at the International Criminal Court (ICC) in The Hague for the hearing of his case. Our prosecutors are saying that Kenya's government is still not cooperating with the ICC on the case. Finally, to a rather eerie occurrence, 11 members of a Colombian indigenous community were struck dead by lightning during a religious ceremony in a remote mountainous area in the north of the country. 15 others were injured. Those are the top stories on the foreign scene. It's back to you now.
Thanks a lot, Adeshawa. And the main news again. The Nigerian Navy has proposed the establishment of a naval base in Ikorodu to protect the nation from pipeline vandals. Long queues have resurfaced in Rivers State as residents spend several hours at service stations. And doctors in Madrid have been battling to save its first Ebola patient in Spain, with 52 others also being monitored. Well, that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for staying with us. Work resumes tomorrow. I'm Ijoma Bunyato. Good night.